Hello, I'm here again today at the meeting of the Association for the Study of World Future Social Prospects. And I'm very lucky to have as a guest today Mr. Aurelio Peccei, the founder of the Club of Rome and somebody whom I consider is one of the first real world citizens. Tell me, Dr. Peccei, why did you decide to come all the way here to Caracas to come to this meeting?
Well, the two topics, social progress and world solidarity, are very important and very near to my interests. World progress, social solidarity, concepts which we should adopt in looking towards the future, as this meeting is concerned with. We talk very much about economic development, technological development, very little of social or human development or progress. And that is the basis of everything, because if the human being, the 4.5 billion people of the world, remain behindhand, lagging behind the other developments, there cannot be any good world. The system will be upset. One day or the other, there will something which give way. Yeah. And we have to talk about the world, because the present system is a world system. Interdependencies are so great, so critical among everything else. Regions among themselves, problems among themselves, solutions among themselves, and with problems. Yes. Everything is interrelated. So we have to talk about the world much more than nation
yes.
or continent.
Yes. There was a panel this morning on the whole question of urbanization, and you were making some very interesting observations about how mankind has become too arrogant and forget their place in nature. Could you elaborate?
Yes, let me just before say that so far we were very much preoccupied by rural backwardness, the problems of the rural populations around the world, which are key to the world situation. Now we have another preoccupation, the inflow of peasants from destitute rural areas into cities, into megalopolis even, is creating equal problems in the cities. So we have more worries today than we had 10 years ago. And in both cases, there is a divorce between man and nature. When we were discussing chiefly the situations in villages, in rural areas, it was people who were not any longer able to live with the natural environment, because they had depleted it due to poverty, to ignorance, to the bad application of new technologies, to the wrong systems of irrigation and so on. And now these people have gone to the cities in an artificial environment. We have created something which was labeled this morning as monstrous, this megalopolis. The emblem of this monstrosity is Mexico City, which is now 17 million people, and it will become, at the end of the century, 30 million, 35 million, nobody knows. That is, that city will be bigger than the whole of Venezuela, the country which hosts us. The population will be bigger than that of one continent, Australia, and all crammed in a small basin. Yes. So these are the new problems, and these artificial problems created by man who has separated itself from a communion. Yes. With nature.
And who is going to feed the people in all of these cities if we don't remember the land and make a new ethic?
That is a $64,000 question. Who is going to feed whom? Because if there is some food available, it will be first eaten by the peasants themselves. If they are not a military force, requisition
Yeah.
from for the cities, or if there is much food, say, in the United States, in the big agricultural exporting countries, food exporting countries, there will be no means of transport, no possibility of making it available to the poor people of the hungry countries, and these hungry people will not have the means to pay for it. So it is the whole of the system which has to be revised, to reconceptualize. We have to consider that we have landed in this very difficult situation because we have advanced so fast in science and technology, and we have not been able to develop our cultural capacity of using the tools of science and technology. And now the situation is coming to a climax, probably ever greater crisis, some disaster here and there, but we have, and I insist on that, we have all the means, if we want, to steer away from this disastrous course and head towards a much better future. It is up to us.
And I think that you might agree with me that all of these problems are lessons in interdependence, lessons that we live on one world, we are one human family. And I want to ask you one last question, and that is, what lesson of interdependence can we learn from the present situation with the situation with OPEC, which is very important here in Venezuela because Venezuelans invented OPEC, as you know, and the prices that will be paid for oil and the debt of the developing countries. Have we human family, will this human family make this a creative learning experience in interdependence, or will we have a silly worldwide depression which is unnecessary?
First of all, a footnote. You know, Hazel, that I always agree with you. Also, in this particular question. And I think that this is a learning experience. I don't know whether we will actually learn, but we have on the table before us all the elements to learn to behave differently, to adopt new policies and strategies, to steer away from this course that I said before, lead us only into greater trouble than today. There is not only the question of mismanagement of the oil resources and the whole of the OPEC mess, which is now surfacing because there is no more the boom, and everybody's in difficulty. This country and many others is equal to the mess that exists in the financial markets. We know that there are so many countries in the third world which are indebted much beyond their capacity to repay not only the capital, but only to service the interest. And this situation, even if we stop it for the moment, it's becoming worse in the short term. On the long term, will continue to be like that. Again, if we don't find a new solidarity, a new mutuality, commonality of interest that we will serve in good faith, in self-interest, in life, in self-interest on the long term, and if we don't change, then I think that the 80s will be a very difficult turning point towards worse situations worldwide. And we all, particularly the rich ones, I'm talking now to my friends in the United States, particularly the rich ones, the powerful ones, will have to suffer more than the poor ones, which have been accustomed to suffer all their lives, and their parents and their grandparents' lives.
Yes, you know, it's interesting because I remember saying several years ago that there already is a new international economic order, because all of the Northern Hemisphere banks lent all of this money to these developing countries, and you know, bankers say, if I lend you $100, it's my problem. But if I lend you $100 million, it's my problem. You know, and so now it is, the tables are already turned. And this, I believe, will lead to some kind of creative change in the international monetary arrangements.
I think so. I think so.
Yes.
There is some piecemeal international order and a general disorder.
Yes.
We are living in a world where the financial markets, the monetary system, the economic cooperation, everything which is on the interface between nations is going to pieces. It is not any longer being able to withstand the onslaught of new problems, of new exigencies, so many more problems, so many more people. To say again what I said before, we can, but we must find new ways of living together, the 4.5 billion people of today, and prepare the ground for the 6 billion people who will inhabit this small, impoverished planet in less than 20 years from now.
And so last of all, would you agree this is why we need more organizations like this one that we are delegates at today?
Yes, and like the Club of Rome.
And like the Club of Rome, also, yes, a leader.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.